Welcome to my channel, and today I want to share a story that proves true power is often hidden in silence. This is the story of Adanna Okeke, a woman who was once dismissed by her husband as worthless, only to quietly build an empire and completely upend his life. It's a tale of patience, strategy, and the ultimate reversal of fortune, showing that those who underestimate others often pay the price, while those who move with wisdom and resilience quietly rise to unimaginable heights. Your husband divorces you because he believes you are worthless. Then he invites you to watch him marry a woman he considers exceptional. What he does not know is that he is standing on your ladder and you are about to remove it, making him fall so hard he cannot recover. That is exactly what happened to Adanna Okeke. What followed proved that the loudest voices are rarely the most powerful. Adanna Okeke, 31 years old, lived what most people assumed was a quiet, simple life in Lagos. She had been married to Chike Okeke for 5 years. To the outside world, Adanna appeared to be a devoted housewife. She cooked, cleaned, smiled politely at Chike's work functions, and stayed in the background. Chike worked as a senior manager at Zenith Tech, one of Nigeria's fastest-growing technology firms. He wore tailored suits, drove a company Mercedes, and boasted constantly about his trajectory toward executive leadership. Adanna, however, was the type of woman who moved in silence, always behind the scenes, letting others take credit while she held the real influence. Her college friends nicknamed her the Shadow because she could build empires without anyone realizing she was in the room. Imagine living like that, controlling billions, but ironing your husband's shirts as if you depended on his paycheck. For 5 years, Adanna performed her role flawlessly. She let Chike believe he was the provider, the successful one, the man with the future. What Chike did not know was that Zenith Tech was, in reality, Adanna's. Not publicly, not obviously. Through a network of holding companies and trusts, she was the silent majority shareholder. The board reported to her. The CEO answered to her. Even Chike's salary was approved by her. Why hide it? Because Adanna wanted to see who Chike really was when he believed she had nothing. And what she discovered shattered something within her that could never be mended. It started small, Chike arriving home late, whispering on calls in the other room, grinning at texts he never sent to Adanna. In one evening, she asked softly, "Chike, is everything all right? You seem distant." He barely glanced up from his phone. "I'm fine. Just work stress. You wouldn't understand." "Try me," Adanna offered. Chike exhaled as though she were exhausting him. "Adanna, you spend your days cooking and cleaning. I'm making million-dollar decisions. It's not the same." Let that sink in. The woman who literally owned his company was being told she could not comprehend business. Adanna smiled. "You're right. I'm sure it is very stressful," she said, returning to folding laundry. Inside, however, something shifted. A month later, Chike came home with papers, not bills, not grocery lists, divorce papers. Adanna was washing dishes when he dropped them onto the counter. "What is this?" she asked calmly. "Exactly what it looks like," Chike said. "I want a divorce." She dried her hands slowly. "May I ask why?" Chike laughed, but not kindly. A cruel, sharp laugh. "Adanna, look at yourself. Look at your life. You have done nothing. You are nothing. I'm about to become an executive at one of Nigeria's biggest companies. I need a partner who matches my ambition, education, class. And I do not have those things?" Adanna asked quietly. "No," Chike said flatly. "You do not." Adanna stared. "Is there someone else?" Chike did not hesitate. "Yes. Her name is Ifeoma. She is the CEO's daughter. Beautiful, refined, everything you are not." Imagine hearing that, your husband replacing you with someone he deems superior. "When did this begin?" Adanna asked. "Does it matter? Sign the papers. I am giving you the car and 2 million naira. That is generous, considering your contribution was nothing." Adanna's hands did not tremble. Her voice did not waver. "I will sign them." Chike looked surprised. "Really? Just like that?" "Just like that," she said. "When do you need them?" "By the end of the week," Chike replied, smiling as if she should be embarrassed. Adanna called her legal team immediately. 3 days later, she signed the papers. She did not fight, cry, or beg. Cheek was almost cheerful when he picked them up. See, that wasn't so hard. You'll be fine, Adanna. You'll find a simple, decent man who appreciates you. 2 months later, an expensive cream-colored envelope arrived. It was an invitation to Cheeky's wedding to Ifeoma. At the bottom, a handwritten note. Adanna, I'd love for you to come. It would mean a lot to see how far I've come since we separated. Cheeky wanted her there to witness his success, to flaunt it. Calmly, Adanna instructed her assistant to RSVP. Yes, I will attend. The wedding took place at the Echo Hotels and Suites in Lagos. Crystal chandeliers, white roses, 300 guests, the elite of Nigeria's business world. Adanna arrived in a simple black dress, no jewelry, no designer labels. She slipped into a seat at the back unnoticed. Cheek stood at the altar in a sharp tuxedo, grinning as though he had won everything. Ifeoma walked down the aisle in a gown worth more than most could earn in a decade. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Cheek kissed her like sealing a business deal. The reception was extravagant, a live orchestra, champagne towers, a 5-tier cake. Cheeky, taking the microphone, boasted, "I want to thank everyone. This day marks a new chapter. I am marrying a woman of substance, someone who understands ambition, success, and power." He glanced toward the back, smiling wider. "Some of you may know my ex-wife is here. Adanna, thank you for coming. It takes courage to witness someone else's upgrade." Laughter rippled through the crowd, cruel laughter. Adanna did not flinch. Then Ifeoma's father, Emeka Nwosu, CEO of Zenith Tech, stood. Tall, commanding, respected. Cheeky, he began, clearing his throat. "I would like to add something." Cheeky beamed. Emeka continued, "You've spoken about ambition and success, but you should know the truth. Zenith Tech is not run by me. I am the public face. The real owner, the person who built this company, is sitting in the back." Silence fell. Emeka turned to Adanna. "Adanna Okeke, please stand." Every head turned. Adanna rose slowly. Cheek's face turned white. Adanna has owned Zenith Tech for 8 years. Every major decision goes through her. Every executive, including me, reports to her. Cheeky, your salary, your promotions, your company car, she approved all of it. Cheek's mouth opened, no sound coming out. Ifeoma stared at Adanna, then at Cheek, comprehension dawning. Emeka continued. "Cheek, you called your ex-wife worthless, said she contributed nothing. The truth, she has been paying your bills for 5 years. Hands trembling, Cheeky could barely stand. Adanna stepped forward, microphone in hand. Hello, Cheek. You asked me to come tonight. You wanted me to see how far you've risen. For 5 years I let you believe I was powerless, a housewife with no ambition, so I could see your true character. I learned something. You do not love people. You love what they can give you. You married Ifeoma because you thought she connected you to power, but the power has always been mine. You're fired. The room erupted. Cheek stumbled. You can't. I can, Adanna said calmly. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. 2 men in suits appeared. Ifeoma froze, face red. Father, did you know? Emeka nodded. I've known for years. I work for Adanna, and you, Cheek, you just humiliated your real boss at your own wedding. Ifeoma tore her veil. You married me to climb, but you were already standing on someone else's ladder. She demanded an annulment. Emeka nodded. Chike pleaded with Adanna, but she did not answer. Security escorted him out. She returned the microphone to Emeka. Thank you for your years of service. Your bonus will arrive next quarter. Adanna walked out head high, leaving 300 people speechless. Within days, the story spread. Tech CEO, S daughter, S wedding ends in scandal, mystery billionaire humiliates ex-husband. Cheek tried to contact Adanna dozens of times. She ignored him. Today, Adanna quietly runs her empire. She never remarried. Cheek works in sales at a small firm, no company car, no executive title, only the memory of the woman he underestimated. As the proverb says, pride goes before destruction and humility before honor. Cheek's arrogance was the stage for his downfall. After that day at the Echo Hotels and Suites, Adanna Okeke's life entered a new rhythm, one defined by quiet authority and deliberate strategy. The public humiliation of Chike was only the first act. She understood that power in Nigeria, as anywhere, was not just about money. It was about perception, influence, and control. While the media buzzed for weeks over the scandal, Adanna quietly returned to Zenith Tech's boardroom, which for years had operated under the radar of the public eye. Behind those glass walls, she was the architect of every major deal, every expansion, and every strategic partnership. Her colleagues, accustomed to seeing Chike or the CEO Emeka Nwosu at the forefront, never suspected that the true decisions came from her. Adanna spent her days analyzing market trends, negotiating with foreign investors, and quietly directing acquisitions. She wore simple Nigerian attire to the office, well-tailored but understated, because she knew that real power never needed to announce itself. Employees who had once seen her as a quiet, polite figure in the background now felt a subtle, commanding presence. Even the CEO, Emeka, who publicly took credit for Zenith Tech's rise, respected her insight and deferred to her judgment. Meanwhile, Chike's life had taken a quiet, slow decline. Without the wealth he had assumed was his by right, he moved to a modest apartment in Lekki, working in a mid-level sales position at a small local firm. Gone were the tailored suits and company car, he now took public transportation, and every day reminded him of the ladder he had so arrogantly assumed he had climbed. People he once looked down upon now moved past him, living lives of quiet dignity that he could no longer reach. Adanna, on the other hand, moved in ways most people never noticed. She attended high-level meetings with investors from Dubai and Johannesburg, negotiated joint ventures with tech firms in Europe, and invested in agricultural technology startups across Nigeria. Every decision, every strategy was calculated to secure Zenith Tech's future, while simultaneously teaching those who had underestimated her a lesson about humility, foresight, and true power. Her personal life remained private, shrouded in a careful balance between social obligation and personal discretion. She spent weekends visiting her extended family in Aba, giving advice and assistance to her siblings' businesses, and mentoring young women who aspired to leadership roles in Nigeria's tech industry. She understood that in a country like Nigeria, where appearances often overshadow substance, cultivating respect required both subtlety and visible action. Yet the memory of Chike and the wedding remained a quiet fuel in her mind. It was not revenge for the sake of vengeance. Adanna believed in justice, not cruelty. But she did see every business negotiation, every strategic decision, as a continuation of the lesson that she had demonstrated to Chike and the world. If anyone questioned her authority, she reminded them, silently or otherwise, that she had never claimed to be seen. She simply had claimed her power. Weeks later, news of Zenith Tech's expansion into West African markets made headlines. Newspapers praised Emeka Nwosu for steering the company to international prominence. Few mentioned the quiet hand that had orchestrated it all. Adanna did not mind. She was content with the invisible triumph, knowing that true authority required no applause. Those who truly mattered, investors, CEOs, and partners, knew her worth. Chike, on the other hand, learned humility in ways he never could have imagined. He witnessed competitors he had dismissed making deals, building networks, and quietly consolidating influence that dwarfed his own small-scale ambitions. He saw colleagues and friends, once beneath him in status, achieve heights he could only dream of. Yet he could not reach out to Adanna, nor did he attempt to reconcile. Every attempt to contact her, calls, messages, even visiting Zenith Tech, was met with polite but firm refusal. Adanna's reputation grew in the tech world not as a flamboyant mogul, but as a meticulous strategist, a woman who understood both the value of money and the subtler value of human behavior. She became a mentor to female executives and a discreet force behind philanthropic initiatives. She funded scholarships, invested in women-led startups, and sponsored programs to encourage technological literacy in rural areas of Nigeria. Her power was now felt not just in boardrooms, but in communities, subtly shifting the balance of influence in ways that were unseen but deeply transformative. And yet, Chike's shadow remained a reminder of the lessons Adanna had learned in silence. She had observed his true character. The arrogance that came from underestimating others, the shallow understanding of what it meant to lead, and the cruel belief that people's worth was determined by their outward utility. Watching him stumble through life after their separation affirmed her belief. Power respects power, and those who attempt to assert dominance without wisdom inevitably fail. In private, Adanna allowed herself moments of reflection. She remembered the early days of their marriage, the small acts that revealed Chike's arrogance, dismissive comments, subtle belittlement, and the constant need to assert superiority. Those years of quiet observation had shaped her into a leader capable of wielding authority without needing recognition. Her success was silent, profound, and unstoppable. As Zenith Tech prepared to launch a new technological hub in Abuja, Adanna reflected on her journey. The city was buzzing with anticipation. Investors were flown in from across Africa, and the government praised Zenith Tech's commitment to innovation and economic development. Behind closed doors, Adanna negotiated contracts with precision, ensuring that every aspect of the expansion would secure not only profit, but long-term stability. Every move was deliberate, every decision calculated. Through it all, Adanna never lost sight of the personal dimension of her victory. Chike, once a man who saw her as a simple housewife, was now a footnote in her story. His replacement, Ifeoma, who had once appeared to embody the qualities Chike valued, was left to navigate the harsh realities of a world she did not control. Adanna's silence and strategy had proven a universal truth. The loudest voices and the most ostentatious appearances rarely match the strength of those who work quietly with foresight and precision. As Zenith Tech's new hub in Abuja opened, Adanna Okeke's influence in Nigeria's technology sector became undeniable. Government officials praised the initiative as a milestone for innovation, and international investors marveled at the company's growth trajectory. Yet, in public, Emeka Nwosu remained the face of the company, a strategic choice that allowed Adanna to operate without distraction. She wore simple, elegant attire, her confidence unspoken yet palpable. Employees who once underestimated her now moved with cautious respect, aware that every recommendation she made was backed by knowledge, foresight, and authority. Adanna's approach to leadership reflected a deep understanding of African business culture. She knew that appearances often masked true influence, and she wielded her power with discretion, letting others believe they were leading while she quietly guided decisions. Local entrepreneurs seeking partnerships were often surprised to discover that the consulting CEO, or strategic advisor advising Emeka, was in fact the real architect of Zenith Tech's success. She listened more than she spoke, observed more than she acted, and only intervened when critical decisions demanded her input. Meanwhile, Chike Okeke's life took a humbling trajectory. His mid-level sales role exposed him to the realities of ordinary work life, far removed from the opulence he had once taken for granted. Gone were the weekends spent in exclusive resorts, the luxury cars, and the clinking of champagne glasses at high-profile events. He now juggled client meetings in modest offices and commuted through Lagos traffic, reflecting daily on the arrogance that had led him to dismiss Adanna. Even Ifeoma, once perceived as a symbol of sophistication, struggled to adapt to the subtle, intricate world of corporate politics that Adanna navigated effortlessly. Adanna, however, flourished. She expanded Zenith Tech's influence across West Africa, investing in startups that focused on renewable energy, fintech, and agricultural technology. Her strategies were innovative and forward-thinking, emphasizing sustainable growth while empowering local communities. She quietly funded scholarships for girls in rural Nigeria to study STEM fields, mentoring young women and creating opportunities that had previously been inaccessible. Adanna believed that real power lay not in loud proclamations, but in the ability to shape the world silently, with enduring impact. In her personal life, Adanna maintained a careful balance. She hosted family gatherings in Aba, offering guidance to her siblings and cousins in their business ventures, instilling in them the same sense of purpose and strategic thinking that had guided her rise. She cultivated friendships with like-minded leaders and innovators, building a network based on trust, respect, and shared vision rather than pretense or social climbing. She was visible enough to be respected, but invisible enough to remain free from unnecessary scrutiny. The memory of Cheek's wedding and his dismissal of her power lingered as a quiet testament to the lessons she had learned. It was never about revenge. It was about justice, strategy, and clarity. Adanna understood that people often reveal their true character when they believe power is absent. Cheeky had revealed his arrogance, greed, and superficial understanding of success. In contrast, she had demonstrated that patience, intelligence, and discretion could achieve far greater outcomes than loud ambition ever could. Over the next several years, Zenith Tech became a hub of innovation in Africa. Countries across the continent sought partnerships with the company, recognizing not only its financial growth, but also its impact on local economies. Adanna's leadership style, silent yet decisive, set a new standard for corporate governance in Nigeria. She advised governments on digital infrastructure projects, mentored CEOs, and invested in technological education programs, leaving an indelible mark on Africa's economic landscape. Adanna never remarried. She did not need to prove herself to anyone. Her fulfillment came from the quiet satisfaction of influence, the knowledge that every decision she made reverberated across industries, communities, and nations. She had transformed from the shadow wife into a powerhouse whose reputation and legacy would endure long after headlines faded. Chika, by contrast, became a cautionary tale. He often appeared in stories highlighting failed executives or arrogant men who underestimated those around them. His attempts to reconnect with Adanna, calls, messages, visits, were all ignored. He had been replaced not only in her life, but in relevance. He was left to grapple with the stark reality that the woman he dismissed quietly controlled the world he once believed he ruled. In boardrooms, conferences, and investor meetings, whispers circulated about the mystery behind Zenith Tech's success. Few realized that the quiet woman in simple attire, often overlooked, was the driving force behind every contract, acquisition, and expansion. Adanna had proven that true power does not demand attention. It earns it through results, foresight, and resilience. Reflecting on her journey, Adanna considered the proverb her mother had once taught her. The river that flows quietly carves the deepest valley. She understood now that her silence had been her strength, her humility a shield, and her patience a weapon. Those who sought only outward recognition would never grasp the subtlety of influence, the depth of control that comes from understanding human nature and the intricate workings of power. Years later, Adanna's name became synonymous with quiet authority and transformative leadership. Tech magazines, newspapers, and international media chronicled her achievements, but always with the caveat that she remained understated, preferring impact over fame. She had achieved what Cheek could never comprehend, the seamless integration of wealth, influence, and ethical responsibility. Her empire expanded to include investments in education, renewable energy, and healthcare. She established scholarships for underprivileged youth, funded research in technology and agriculture, and created mentorship programs for young African women aspiring to leadership. While her wealth was immense, her satisfaction came from tangible change, from lifting communities, from guiding others to realize their potential. Cheek, on the other hand, lived in quiet regret. He saw the woman he had discarded operate with precision, intelligence, and grace, and he understood too late that power had never been his to wield. Adanna Okeke had moved silently, strategically, and decisively, and in doing so, had rewritten the narrative of her life and those around her. Adanna's story became a blueprint for leadership and influence in Africa. Her journey demonstrated that humility, intelligence, foresight, and silent authority often achieve what arrogance, noise, and superficial ambition never can. She became a symbol of enduring strength, of power exercised wisely, and of the truth that those who are underestimated can ultimately shape the world in ways that cannot be ignored. And so, Adanna Okeke, the woman Cheeky had once called worthless, quietly ruled her empire, empowered countless others, and left a legacy that would endure far beyond headlines or fleeting recognition. The loudest people, after all, were rarely the most powerful. Power, she had proven, recognized power and nothing else. This story reminds us that true strength doesn't need to shout. It shows itself through patience, intelligence, and quiet action. Adanna's journey proves that underestimating someone can be the biggest mistake you ever make. Always respect the power of those who move in silence, because real influence often works behind the scenes, changing lives and shaping destinies without anyone noticing, until it's too late. If you like this story, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share with your friends and family so you don't miss the next powerful story coming your way. Drop a heart in comment, like and subscribe my channel, and visit my channel for more interesting story videos.